Hello once again, witchy people. Welcome back to my Covinstead. So this is completely off the cuff, and what I wanted to talk about was depression. Especially now when I think we're all looking forward to things getting back to normal. And yeah, feeling almost institutionalised and almost being afraid, and sort of like to go out and do things. And I think it's worse, and I've spoken about depression and witchcraft before. Why do so many witches seem to suffer with depression? And I don't know. Maybe it's just the type of people we are. But I know that there are many times when I do it as well. We watch other people's channels and we think they have it easy. They don't ever seem to get depressed. They don't ever seem to get unhappy. And yes, we turn to those people when we're feeling a bit down because we want to be cheered up. But then there is also that feeling of being alone when you're feeling really low. And it's kind of nice to know that other people just put a brave face on it, and they do feel maybe not the same, but they would understand. They have a similar experience in feeling depressed or low or just down. So I would like you all to know that even when I am smiling, sometimes I am not happy. Sometimes, and that's kind of wrong, because depression isn't even to do with happiness, I don't feel. It's to do with numbness. I think when you're depressed, you become numb to emotions and feelings. I think that there's kind of like an apathy towards things where you don't really care very much, and you don't want to care very much. And you get an awful lot of people saying, well, why are you depressed? Why are you unhappy? And the thing is, for most people, I think if you knew why you were feeling depressed, you would understand how to help in some way solve that, and to make yourself feel more of an even keel. I'm not going to say normal, because it's not normal, but more even, in a more open mood, if you like. So yes, of late, especially the last few weeks, of all the videos you've seen me upload, I have been incredibly stressed and incredibly depressed and very, very low. But I do find that by putting this fake face in front, by putting this falseness in front of the camera, in some ways it does help. It's almost like a fake it till you make it sort of thing. And it does help cheer my mood. It helps cheer my mood knowing that I'm talking to people and they're listening, and I may get some reaction. So that does help. Not that I'm suggesting everyone who feels depressed opens a YouTube channel, because it doesn't. Yeah, I don't like the sound of my own voice, but I do like to spout off and ramble a lot. I find when I'm talking, it helps my mind unknot. I'm not going to say unravel, because it doesn't unravel, but it helps take the knots out of my mind, so that my thinking becomes more clear, more straight, if you like, more focused almost. Because I think when you're depressed, you do lose focus a lot. And I don't want any of you, if you're ever feeling down, like I said, especially because of like the pandemic and lockdown and all the rest of it, I don't want any of you to feel like there isn't someone else out there who may understand how you feel, and who hasn't felt something similar, because there are a lot of us. And especially I think now during the pandemic, where we can't go to people's houses and sit down and have a cup of tea with a friend and talk this through. We are very much alone, and talking over Skype or Zoom or whatever you choose messenger or whatever isn't the same as being in someone's home and being able to hold their hand or get a cuddle and see in their eyes that they really are there for you and that they understand. And I think that's it. It's not even that people are there for you. Oh, hello, Barclay. Yes, Barclay does cheer me up. It's not even that people understand. They're just there for you. But I would like you all to know that I do understand maybe part of how you feel. You are not alone in feeling down, low, depressed, or even unhappy. Like I said, I don't associate depression with unhappiness. I do associate with a numbness, a lack of feeling. And sometimes it's kind of the opposite. It's really strange. Sometimes depression, I think, is a lack of feeling, and sometimes it's overwhelming emotion that you don't know how to deal with. It's kind of like extremes, one or the other. Maybe because I am a manic depressive, also known as bipolar. I hate the expression bipolar, by the way. I hate it with a passion. I don't know why. When you have, the reason I like to describe it as manic depression, which I know isn't exactly the same as bipolar, but it kind of is. When you have a manic episode, sometimes it's really hard for you to see it yourself. And these extremes of either of having no feeling or too much feeling, no emotion, too much emotion. I don't know whether that is something that manic depressives and bipolars sort of feel, but it's kind of how I view depression in general, because it's how I suffer with it. And you do suffer. And so does everyone around you. And that's something else I think that needs to be, not just people who suffer any kind of depression, but the people around them, they suffer too. Sometimes it's just that they don't know how to react to you. They don't know how to make you feel better, or how to make you feel something. And it's hard for them as well. Sometimes when you're, especially if you're a manic depressive or you suffer with bipolar, when you're in the throes of your depression, extreme highs and extreme lows, sometimes you don't notice it yourself, because it becomes it's really just part of who you are. And it's part of how your brain works. And it's the people around you who worry and find it difficult to cope with these extreme moods. Or if you suffer from depression, you know how to cope with you when you're feeling depressed. And it's really hard as someone who suffers from depression to try and make someone who doesn't and never has suffered from depression, how it's not to do with happiness, how it's not to do with joy and just feeling sad. It's nothing to do with that. It is something completely different. Because if it was just feeling sad, it would be so much easier to deal with. So when you see these people and you think on YouTube or even on the telly, things like that, and you think to yourself, they're so lucky, I wish I could be like them. They could be masking it really, really well. They can be masking a lot of things, and just because they don't always show it doesn't mean to say they wouldn't understand how you feel. You are never alone. You are never without people who understand how you feel and what you're going through in some way or another. And especially now, I wanted to kind of put that out there to let people know that it's okay to feel depressed. There's no shame in depression. There's no shame in people calling it a mental health problem. It doesn't matter. There is no shame in it. And it's okay to be down. It's okay to want to shut yourself away. It's not okay to think that no one else understands. And that's just a message I wanted to share, because, as I said, I have, over the past few weeks, I have felt very, very low. very, very stressed. And especially when you're in manic depression, I don't know what it's like for other forms of depression. It feels like you're in this massive hole, a chasm, and it has no end. And you're waiting to hit the bottom and you don't. And it's like you're in free fall in the deepest, darkest, blackest hole. Because there's nothing. It is a huge vast of nothingness, and that's what's so awful about it. And knowing that that's how I feel, and looking back on some of my videos, especially sort of when I edit them and make sure that the sound's okay and things like that, I look and I think, you don't look how you feel inside, or how you don't feel inside, as the case may be. So I wanted you all to think about, just in case, there is anyone out there who's feeling a bit, and I think that's it. It's very, there's nothing. It's just, If you're feeling that, you're not alone. And there are people who, they may look like they're okay and, they're feeling everything fine, but they really aren't. So you're not alone. It is something that I have noticed that a lot of witches especially seem to suffer from depression an awful lot. And it's okay. We should all talk about mental health anyway, because, and talk about depression and mental health problems, mental health illnesses, because so many of us do suffer from them, and get it out in the open, because it is normal. It's not abnormal in any way, and it's okay. So there you go. That was just it. Just a reminder, check up on my old video. I'll see if I can find it and link it. I may not be able to. But I think it was just called "Why Do So Many Witches Suffer with Depression?" And I wouldn't mind hearing some other views on this. Not just why do you think witches suffer from depression? So many witches do. But how do you feel about it? If you suffer from depression yourself, or you are with someone who suffers with depression, how do you cope with that? Because the more we can talk about it and the more we can get it out in the open, and I'm not talking about magical solutions or anything like that, I'm just talking about getting it out in the open and talking about it and discussing it, so that we all know that we're not alone. And that's it. Thank you for watching, witchy people. I'll be back very soon. Bye for now.